welcome back to the Burner Turner Show. Once again, it's your host, Wayne Turner. Got another special guest on the show, one of my championship teammates. Definitely excited to have him on here. But before I get into introducing him, make sure you subscribe to the Media 68 Network group and also the Burner Turner Show. It's on Spotify, it's on Apple Podcasts. Wherever you podcast, you can join the show. And I appreciate you guys supporting it. But without further ado, I'm going to introduce this guy. He was a 1999 draft pick in the NBA. Definitely a great teammate that I enjoyed playing with. Played in the league for, about 8 to 10 years. Had a great career. Enjoyed watching him play. Just to be able to say, "Hey, I played with that guy." I got some assists from that guy too. So, but definitely proud of him. Proud of the man he's become even after playing in the league. Became a coach. Been coaching in the game for 10 years, over 10 years now. Really, really big time, but was the 1999 SEC tournament MVP. And I enjoyed winning that championship with him. But without further ado, I'm going to announce him, my brother, my big brother. This is one of my big brothers, Scott Padgett. Scott, I appreciate you coming in,
What's up,
man.
Burner?
Definitely good to see you. What'd you say?
What's up, Burner?
Hey, you know what? You started your career at Kentucky before me, but I'm older than you. How does that work? I got you, Bob.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I was a little young coming in. I don't know. I don't know how that worked.
No, hey, it all works out differently, man. We find that path and we get on it and we take it. But I'm definitely happy to have you on the show because I think your story goes unknown sometimes. And you was one who, kind of got off track, but got back on track and won a national championship and played in the Final Four. And, I just want you to, just take me through that time because when I got to school, you remember you weren't on the team.
Yeah. It was one of those things. I grew up, obviously a huge Kentucky fan, I was the guy fighting a lot of wars in Louisville because I grew up in Louisville and a lot of my friends growing up were Louisville fans. But, getting to play at Kentucky was my dream. Like I tell everybody, I was lucky enough. I got to go play in the NBA and everything, but it was never really a dream of mine. Mine was to play at Kentucky and wear a Kentucky jersey. And, my freshman year, I come in and I had some really, really good dudes in front of me, Mark Pope, Walter McCarty, Jared Prickett, Antoine Walker, at those spots. And then I guess the only other spot I could have played maybe then was at the 3, and we had Rod Rhodes there too. So, basically everybody who was in front of me was a pro, when they got done. But when I got there, I wasn't seeing no part of the floor. Like when we're winning by 20, you still got to get minutes for the bench guy who was coming off the bench, and we're winning by 20. I'm not even seeing in those games, and I probably, from the frustration of not playing, decided I was going to have fun one way or the other. And I probably made my way out to places like Two Keys and Last Call a little too many times. And when you stay out late, it's hard to get up early for class. And it was one of those things. Like I lost track of what my priorities were. And, like Coach P, after I flunked out of school during the summer, Coach P brought me in and basically told me, I'm off the team, but he was going to give me a chance to come back. And the way I was going to get that chance was I had to go work, get a job and earn money to come back and pay for the spring semester. And after paying for the spring semester, when I came back, I had to get my GPA above a 3.0. And I was like basically on curfew. I had, they were checking every class I went to. And so I basically had to be the model citizen for the whole spring. And if I did that, then he said I could get back on the team and well, not necessarily back on the team, but back on scholarship. Cause I came back, I practiced in the spring, but I couldn't play. And that year was probably one of the toughest years of my life because for the first time in my life, like my life from heck 6 years old up through that point had always been about sports, you know. And if it wasn't basketball, it was football season, it was baseball season, and it was the first time in my life where I really had no structure to what I was going to do, like towards things I wanted to do. You know, like I had structure. I had to go to work every day. I was working from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., you know, every day. And but it was doing something I did not want to do, and it kind of woke me up. You know, I said, because that was my, if I didn't come back to college and get my degree, if nothing else, get my degree, that was the life I was looking forward to, was bad jobs that I didn't want to do, and you know, and to be honest with you, not making a lot of money, I guess it woke me up, it matured me, and to be honest with you, it made me a better basketball player because the work that I put in, having to get back, it turned into what I became as a player because I worked harder, because I didn't want to lose it again. And so it was definitely a tough situation. And what made it even tougher was, you know, when you grow up dreaming to be a Kentucky Wildcat, of course you dream of winning a national championship with Kentucky Wildcats. So when we won it in '96, I was ecstatic for all of y'all, but inside I was hurting because I had missed out on it.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that because, you know, and I highlight, well, they had like a little highlight video of us, and there you was flurrying in the individual instruction toward the end of that highlight video tape. So, you know, you definitely worked your way back in, and, you know, coming back in '97, you came back with us and, you know, took our team to pretty much another level. You came in, and I tell people to this day, you know, I've never played with a big man that shoot the ball like Scott Padgett. No one over 6'9" that I've played with since you that shot the ball consistently like that. And, you know, now the game has changed a little bit more, um, to where there are a lot of guys like you now out there shooting the jump shot and driving to the basket and things like that, which, you know, makes you a unique person. I think every, you know, kid in America should, especially a kid from Kentucky, definitely needs to hear your story because it's one of motivation or one of perseverance. And it also shows you didn't give up on your dream. But I mean, obviously you had to have a reality check, you know, to get that, you know, through your head, but you got it. And you went on and succeeded at the University of Kentucky. And you know, I know there'll be your name will be getting called soon, you know, in that Hall of Fame ballot. I'm just gonna make
Hey,
sure I'm on that
hey,
list to be there.
hey. All I know is that Burner Turner. What they don't know about that old Burner Turner, he had the most played in the most games in the history of college basketball until I think recently. But they play a whole lot more games now than we did. You know, like you can potentially play 40 games now. We couldn't, like, we went to the national championship 3 times and never got to 40 games. So I think
I know,
that's
right?
what I'm saying. So like, I think if we played as many as they do now, you would still be the leader in games played. Uh, but you know, it was one of those things, man. I feel like I was just lucky and blessed that like I was given a second chance. But then like the guys I got to play with, like our run from '96 to '98, like it's hard to there's not very many teams have done that, period, not just at Kentucky, like period, anywhere. And we did it 2 different ways. Like we had the superstar team in '96, and then we had in '98 like the ultimate, like, I call none of us superstars, but we were the highest level role player you could have, you know, like so everybody we had, like, if you think about that team, like we had the 5 starters, Jamal McGlure, Cameron Mills, Hashimu Evans, that all at some point in the season scored 20 or more in a game. You know, like we had 8 dudes that could on a given night could just go get it. And that's with dudes like Mike Bradley, who came in and showed in spurts, but like probably could have did it. We just had so many people at his spot, you know, that he didn't get as much opportunity probably. But we had like high level role players with very big, you know, high level basketball IQ. And then we had been trained in the ways of winning from what we had been around before us. So like when you got in those tough moments where you're down 18 in the second half or down 10 at halftime, like we had already been through it, you know, like like I tell everybody, like when we're down 18 in the second half, like we've been down 22 the year before to Vanderbilt at Vanderbilt, you know, and not only were we down 22, we came back and won by 10, you know, like we had been on those runs, so we knew we were never out of a game, and we had experienced so much that we were the ultimate. Like nowadays, like that's who's winning. You know, those type of teams that got juniors and seniors who's been through the rigors of everything. If you look at Gonzaga now, that's the type of team they have. They got it like they got some NBA guys. I don't know if there any of them are going to be a superstar, but they got NBA guys. But they got high level, like role players that fit the team concept perfect.
Right. And you know, you're someone who've you know, played on Coach Cal's staff. I'm pretty sure we all follow Kentucky basketball, no matter what era. And obviously, you saw this year they've struggled early on in the year, but you know, everybody knows Cal's teams develop later on in the year. And as we're starting to see a glimpse of, they're starting to play a lot better now. Do you think it's unfair to judge those young guys so soon in their careers, especially, you know, with COVID going on? I mean, I know I don't like to use a lot of excuses, but is it fair?
Um, it's not fair, but that's the life in the bubble of being at Kentucky. You know, like that's you know, Coach Cal says it when he's in the recruiting process. It's not for everybody because you are going to be in that fishbowl. That magnifying glass is going to be on you, and every little thing is going to be dissected because you're at the University of Kentucky. But I will say, like where they're at right now is probably usually where they're at towards the start of conference play. But what people are forgetting is normally you got 13 non-conference games. And yes, some of them are bunnies because you need to develop, you know, like so instead this year, really, I'm not going to say like it was all the top 25 teams, but they played 7 non-conference games and 6 of them were tough opponents. Somewhere in there between those, in a normal year, you would have mixed in a bunny that helps you learn the system more and helps you, gives you confidence. And then you go into that game with some confidence. Instead, they went bang, bang, bang all in a row with some tough teams. Their confidence is down. They don't know the system as much. And so they took some blows to the head early on that maybe they wouldn't take in a normal season, and they would get time to develop. And by the time you get into like game 2, 3, 4 of conference play, they're probably where they are right now, which is why you normally see them have a good year and a good record. But, you know, I think it's one of those things. What they really needed was probably getting over the hump in a late game scenario like they did against Auburn. And if you see now, they didn't play great against Vanderbilt, but they found a way down the stretch to hold on and win a game in another close one on the road versus a desperate team. And then you come out and you play the great game the other day against a tough Tennessee team on the road. So their confidence is probably at an all-time high right now. And the last thing you probably wanted to see was a game get canceled because you're playing good and you want to keep that momentum going. But I've watched a lot of the SEC. There's no reason why they can't win the SEC tournament this year. Like Alabama is a tough matchup for just about everybody. But everybody in that league is beatable by anybody in that league. So if you're playing good at the right time, just like how we made our run at the end of the year in '98, like if you're playing good at the right time, anybody can win that tournament. And all of a sudden you're in the tournament, you're scary.
So you think they'll make the tournament this year?
I mean, I think they're going to have to win the SEC tournament to get in, but I don't think anybody's going to want to play them as a 11 or 12 seed, you know, if they do get in, because they're going to get in, they'll have to have gone in with all this momentum. You know, what do they got? 2 games, Florida, Ole Miss left. So if they win those 2 and then go on to win the conference tournament, they'll have been on a 9-game winning streak. Nobody's going to want to play them on a 9-game winning streak.
Right, exactly. I mean, it looked like they're coming into their own. They're coming in real form. Look like they're starting to know how to play with each other a lot more. And some guys are just, you know, stepping up to the challenge. One of my favorite players, who has become one of my favorite players, is Isaiah Jackson. I think he's someone who can impact the game on both sides of the floor. And he's been playing his role all along. I think he's been a lot more aggressive on the offensive end. But who's that one player for you that has to have a good game for Kentucky to win every game. We have always said with our teams, there was one person that definitely needed to perform
Yeah, Wayne
for us to
Turner.
win that game.
Wayne Turner.
That's stop
Hey,
it.
hey, listen, you said it earlier. I'm a good shooter, and you said you got a lot of assists to me. Heck yeah, I was a good shooter because you got a lot of assists to me. Hey, everybody who's ever watched our teams back in '98 know when that Duke game went when it became Wayne time, when it became Wayne's world, that's when we made our run. So yeah, I think it's one of those things. The guy who makes them go probably when he's playing good, they're playing their best is probably Boston. But I think the guy who's actually playing the best right now in their run, as far as the just making because we have to make shots. I think this team has to make shots to be successful. I think Mintz has played great the last 4 games. He's shooting the ball with a lot of confidence, and he's got a lot of experience. Come and experience at a good program. Creighton was a top 25 program while he was there, so. I think he's a guy that he needs to be consistently like making shots for us and making plays because he can get steals and get out in transition. He can create for others and he can make shots. But the guy you said him just a minute ago, I think the guy who's really elevated his game is Jackson. And I'm not trying to compare him as like they're the same player, but he's doing things in the last 4 games that are like some Anthony Davis type things where he's blocking shots and rebounding and dominating on the defensive end. But now he's also adding that 10 to 15 points, to where he's becoming a factor down there too. Whereas early on, most of his stuff was probably off of dump offs, lobs, transition. Now they're being able to throw the ball into the post and he can step off the post and make a mid-range jump shot. So he's added a lot to his game, I think, and his confidence levels kind of through the roof right now. But I think Mintz is the piece because he's the most aggressive shooter that we have as far as willing to take the shot. And if he can keep shooting the ball, I ain't saying he's got to make 50%, but if he can keep shooting the ball where he's making 2-3 threes a game to help space that floor for other guys, a big difference maker.
Yeah, no, I definitely, he seemed like one that was in the shell. Like he just was trying to get out of that shell, but also trying not to be the guy to come in and take over or step on anyone's toes. That's what it looked like, just watching him out there. But now it seems like, okay, I've got my feet wet. People know who I am. They know what I can do. Let me be my normal me.
Well, and it's one of those things like when you come from really most of his college time, he's been he's not the main guy. He's a secondary guy. He's been able to get 10, 15 points for a long time, but he wasn't the main guy. And when you get thrust into that, like right now, we were in that point where we needed somebody to step up and kind of be a main guy. Sometimes it's hard to take that and just say, all right, I just got to go do this, like even though because you're not used to that role. But I think he's starting to figure that out. I think Boston's starting to figure out his game. Like I think his shot selection lately has been a lot better. Like the threes he's taking now they're kicking the ball out of the post. They're doubling Sarr. He kicks across. He's got a wide open step into rhythm 3 versus he had a lot of like those one dribble step back threes with a hand in his face earlier in the season. Now he's taking good shots and he's looking like the shooter we always thought he could be coming into the season. And just like I say, I think they're all figuring it out on the defensive end. They're like, I think they're holding teams to like 41%. Excuse me. Sorry. They're holding teams to like 41% defensively. So that's, they're right there getting to that championship level where you're holding teams to 40 and below.
Right. No, I think Cal definitely does a good job of getting the guys ready, especially during this time of the year. You think they're in you said they were in conference play form right now. Could they get in tournament shape? They look tournament shape to me.
I think they're like they're when they got 2 games left. Like the reality is they got to keep going doing what they've done. So they need to play well against Florida and they need to play well against Ole Miss. But they're playing their best basketball right now, which is it's the time to do it. March is Next week it's time to be playing your best basketball. And the reality is maybe it sounds like it took a lot longer than it normally does, but games wise, it really probably hasn't. Like I say, we're missing out on probably 9 games between SEC games that have been canceled and regular season games that they didn't have. You're missing out on about 9 games that they should have had under their belt by now. So, they're rounding into that best, playing their best basketball at the right time.
Right. And I think as long as the BBN supports them, they'll continue to rise.
That's the one thing they don't have going for them that we did back in the day is right now, because of the pandemic, they don't have like 20,000 plus people cheering them on at home. And when they go to the SEC tournament, it's not going to be a whole blue, arena like it normally is. So that's something that they've got to overcome that we didn't have to, because we knew if we went on a 7-0 run, somebody was going to have to call a timeout because the Big Blue Nation was going to be going nuts.
Right. And that's the other thing, people don't realize either. And that when we travel, our fans travel with us. So when we go on the road, we could be anywhere. There's always a section of Kentucky fans screaming and yelling, and we can hear them.
I would always say this. One of my favorite things throughout my career was in SEC play, like regular season play, is going on the road, getting a win, and being up at the end of the game. And that section you're talking about, all the Kentucky fans who bought up all the whatever was left over tickets are chanting "Go Big Blue" at the end of the game while we're in their arena. I used to love that. Like I used to eat that. I would be looking around at the other team like, yeah, we got more fans in here than you all do.
Right. Like we just came to y'all's arena and took it over. Yeah. Like it's all blue now. And that's the luxury, I really feel for these guys, because they don't have that experience. They don't know what that's like. Yep. And hopefully it changes and some of them get to experience it. But you've played with, you've been on Calipari's staff, and you've seen a lot of his players come through. And Tony got away from me, but I'm gonna ask you, out of all the players that's played under Calipari, which one would you say is the best out of all of them?
The problem is I've seen it now with their NBA career. Like when if you throw their NBA career, and then Anthony Davis is the, like he's going to be an MVP probably in the next year or two. And he's obviously winning championships and hitting game-winning shots while he's on the team with LeBron. So they're running plays for him while he's on a team with LeBron. So it'd be hard to go against him. Obviously, even when he played at Kentucky, his impact was huge. Even when, like in a national championship game, he's not even scoring, and he's dominating the game from a rebound and shot block and defensive side of the ball. The guy who was, to me, the guy that had the biggest impact on the program, though, was John Wall. Just coming in the first day when the program was down, and him changing the narrative on what Kentucky basketball was. John Wall coming here was huge, because he was, at the time, he was a bigger, he's doing his flex dance when he walks in the door, and like he just had this aura about him, and we hadn't had that in a while from of a player, to where like he could walk in and as a freshman be up for the national player of the year and things like that, and he's the first number 1 pick that we ever had and all that. He probably changed the landscape of Kentucky basketball when he came in more than any of these other guys. But if you're just saying one individual player, I'd probably pick AD.
Oh, that's definitely arguably an arguable comment, because gold medalist. Hey, I got my picture with him, so. Well, hey, people laugh. People were looking at me like, "Oh, well, why are you getting your picture with Anthony Davis?" I said, "Okay, wait for a few more years, and then come to my house, and I'll show you the picture of me and Anthony Davis with the trophy and the gold medal."
My 2 sons obviously grew up, huge Kentucky fans and stuff. And when I was working there, my sons would come and be in the gym sometimes, and actually Wall and and Bledsoe and Cousins hung out with them when they would shoot with them and stuff when they were in the practice gym. And my oldest son has always stayed true to it. It's John Wall's his favorite player. Like when Wall just got traded to the Rockets, he was a Wizards fan. Now he's a Rockets fan, and it's always been his guy just because of John being cool to him when they were little and stuff like that. But my middle child Lucas, who's coming to play football at Kentucky, I'm gonna throw that in there. He's always been an AD guy. Like he was when AD was with the Hornets. I mean, not the Hornets, the Pelicans. He was, that was his jersey he had. As soon as he went to the Lakers, he's buying the Lakers jersey and going nuts for the Lakers. So but those two are probably like if I had to put them, those are the top two.
Gotcha. No, I agree. I was with John Wall when I went back to finish school. I think you and Tony were on the Cal staff at the time, and we were at Tally Ho. I heard Tally Ho. Two Keys is not even there anymore, and I heard that Tally Ho wasn't there anymore. I didn't believe that.
Oh,
That sounds like Tally Ho would never disappear from the campus of Kentucky. So we're there hanging out.
I'm gonna have to change. I got that UK Monopoly game. I'm gonna have to change it now.
Right. So he's there, and man, I tell you, maybe 2 minutes, it was just a whole bunch of Kentucky fans, and he couldn't. He's probably one of the most loved Kentucky basketball players as far as the popularity, and the way he handled himself was class act. We're gonna move forward, and I know you mentioned your son going to Kentucky, but we're gonna get into that in a few minutes. Before we do that, I just want to back up a little bit and ask you, what was one of the moments like you were in the doghouse? So what was one of your worst Coach P moments? Because everybody's had it.
I'll be honest with you. We talked about this in the group text a couple of times with the guys that we have, and Shep put it right. Like I've got a laundry list of Coach P moments. Some of them I can't. Some of them can't really air on. I will say this: the funny, and it wasn't funny at the time. One of the funniest ones, though, like when I tell the story now, and you think about all the stuff we went through and everything, because Coach P was tough, like he was tough. But I remember my freshman year, I'm hardly playing, and we're getting ready, and I want to say it's Mississippi State, but it's either Mississippi State or Ole Miss. We're getting ready for a game, and I hadn't played in like a month. As far as games, I hadn't played in like a month. So in practice, there's the 10 guys who play, and then I'm like the 11th. Me and Cameron are over there as like the 11th and 12th guys, And so we get in when somebody needs a rest, but we're not in practice very long, I'm doing extra individual stuff during the week, but the actual practice is really almost off time. Because I'm only getting, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there. In a 2.5 hour practice, I'm getting about 25 minutes in, So anyway, I don't know. He must have looked over and saw me not paying attention or something. And they had just talked about how we're going to do the press. And normally our black, white, I was on the ball. And well, for this game, they were going to have me be the guy on the ball, be on the ball, but then turn and help double the point guard. Right. Because we wanted, they didn't have a good, their team wasn't a good handling team. So we wanted to keep it out of their point guard's hands and make somebody else handle versus pressure. Well, I wasn't paying attention. So as soon as they throw the ball into the 2, I go double the 2. And he just goes ballistic. And get your butt out of here. And that's the nice version. Get your butt out of here. Go get on the treadmill and don't get off till I tell you to. And normally, you went to the treadmill, it was 6 minutes. You run a 6-minute mile and you come back in. So I go in there and Sean Brown comes to meet me, strength coach at the time. He comes to meet me at the treadmill and he goes, "What did he say to you?" I go, "He just told me not to get off the treadmill until you said so." So I'm running. and 1 mile down, 2 miles down, 3 miles down. I'm out here dying, man. I'm like, I'm 5 miles in and change. And like they've been practicing I've been on the treadmill for 43 minutes. And I'm running at like a 6-minute mile pace. And finally Brown comes out there and he goes, "Man, what did you do?" I go, "I don't know. If I knew, I wouldn't be in here." Like, and he slows it down a little for me, right? He slows it down a little for me. And then like they go to a water break. And Coach P used to always be mic'd. Remember, he would go up in the stands and he'd be mic'd.
Yep.
So Winston Bennett walks over there and he's standing close enough that you can hear him on mic, right? So he was like, "Coach, Scott's been on the treadmill for an awfully long time." Coach was like, "Oh, he said, 'Oh, shoot, get him off there. I forgot about him.'" and it was one of those things, because I hardly ever practiced. He didn't notice that I wasn't out there because I wasn't ever in. So yeah, I got stuck on the treadmill for almost 45 minutes. That normally was a 6-minute run. And they did not miss me, because I think we won the game the next game by like 20 something. So
Oh man, I don't miss the treadmill, bro. No, and sometimes I get on it and I'm like, man, this brings back memories right here.
I don't know if you remember Jay Benedelli that worked in Cats for us.
Yes.
So Jay was
the Energizer Bunny.
Yes, he ran cross track, in cross country at Kentucky. So like he worked with us. One of my times of missing class, my punishment was go run with Jay at 6 a.m. Except Jay runs 10 miles. So like I got stuck with Jay. I had a lot of. If you go to my freshman year, like
Al, and DA experienced that one morning. Yeah, we did. Go back and listen.
I had a lot of those running times.
Yes, definitely. Hey, man, we were in shape. I know that much.
No doubt. But Steve was never a factor for us.
Everybody in shape, especially you. I remember you beat us in the mile one year. You went to the USA trials. I think you played USA. And you came back all in shape, beat us in the mile. I was pissed off. I was like, no, that's not going to ever happen again.
So Coach calls me the day before, because like I was going to get in late, and he was like, "Hey, we got the mile tomorrow, but you just come by and you can just watch tomorrow and run it later." And I was like, "No, Coach." I was like, "I got to run it. I can't have those other guys like saying you got extra time or anything like that." I said, "No, Coach." And I told him, I said, "Coach, I'm in pretty good shape right now, so I think I'm gonna win it."
Definitely won.
My freshman year was hilarious. You should have seen me run the mile freshman year, though. We had Pope who could run it. Walt was a deer. Like Walt was, he could run like a deer. Tony could run it. We had some dudes that can run it. And that was my thing. Like my freshman year, I could run. I could always run like distance and stuff. So like I wanted to come in. I was like, I ain't doing nothing else, good right now. I want to come in and win this thing. So we had Dr. Caborn, who used to run a lot too, and he would pace it. He's like, "I'm gonna pace y'all for a 5-minute mile, and then in the last lap, I'll slow down. Y'all can just go or whatever." So I was like, "Man, I'm gonna stay on his heels. I'm running a 5-minute mile." And I remember like. I swear, like that fourth lap started, it was like a piano jumped on my back. I was in front of everybody, and here comes Walt. Here comes, it's like, and I still ran like a good time because I had been out there so far. But like, man, I didn't understand pacing and then them guys and everything and how good a shape they were in. And so
Doc Cablon was doing it back then. Wow.
Yeah, no, he was actually like. It looked effortlessly.
He was a pacer.
He paced us, and then like I say, he would slow down on the last lap, and he'd probably still get like a 5:15, 5:20.
Unbelievable how much we ran. But moving forward, I know you got to be proud dad. Your son just signed for Kentucky football. Definitely congratulations to you. I know. As a former Kentucky Wildcat, definitely, have to be proud about that. Just take me through it, bro. I know Kentucky wasn't the only ones on the list.
No, he went through a lot of tough stuff this last year. Like me losing my job at Sanford and having to go to Mexico. Like his spring when he would have got really recruited heavily, like he was getting a bunch of he's really, really smart. So he was getting a bunch of Conference USA and like Ivy League schools throughout his junior year that were offering him and things like that, like that they were serious. And then at the end of his season, a bunch of higher schools, SEC schools, ACC schools, they started calling his coach and saying, hey, we're going to be there in the spring to see him. But well, then COVID happens and spring gets canceled, and then summer camps, he got invited to all these summer camps, and they all get canceled. And so like his big recruiting time basically got eliminated. And we went through this process of moving across the country, and we moved to New Mexico, and New Mexico is basically the one state in the country that's still to this day shut down. Like they have had no sports this year. The kids have not been in school unless you're at a private school. There's some private schools, but no public school has actually went to class. Like he's at a high school that he'll never step foot in is where he'll graduate from, and so it's been really tough on him. So, signing day was coming around, and we just sat down and I just said, hey man, where do you want to go? Because like with his grades and his size, and he was all state in Alabama, like somebody will take him, like somebody will take him. So like, and they'll be getting a steal. Like that's my thought process. Somebody is going to get a kid he's now 6'4", 300. He's been all state in Alabama on a really good team. He just got a lot of things canceled on him, and he really didn't get to show as much as he'd like to. But like he played in this blue-gray All-American game he played at Dallas Stadium, Jerry World, got to play in there, and he played really well. And I think that let him see like he's pancaking a guy who's going to Penn State. So like on the other team. So he's like, man, I can play at so at the highest level. So like, I just told him, I said, listen, where do you want to go? And he was like, I've always wanted to go to Kentucky. I said, we're going to make this work one way or the other. So I called Mitch, and he did, Mitch Barnhart. And I just said, hey man, like, can you just put me in touch? I said, I don't need it. Like, I don't need you to like go take care of this for me or whatever. I just put me in touch with the right people so that they know where his thoughts are and all this stuff. So he got me the people's number, the different coaches and stuff, the line coach and the recruiting coordinator, and talked, and they watched his film, and the rest kind of was, basically if he, it was worked out that if he wants to come and be a preferred walk-on, that he could. And Lucas is that kid. Like I would bet on him, so like I think he'll go in there and he'll do everything I ask him to do. And because they've got a great line, they've done for the last 5-6 years, their line program has been as good as anybody's in the country. I think he'll work his way one day into playing. But him getting to go to my alma mater, obviously it's awesome. Like I did. I was like, me, I'm not much of a softie, but like that was like a tear moment, like him getting to go to Kentucky, because I knew it was his dream, and it's definitely like our family, they're all excited about it. And, my parents will be back and being rolling from Louisville to Lexington a whole lot more, just like they used to. So, like it's
Right.
very excited about it.
No, that's awesome, man. And big congrats to Lucas and, you and the whole fam, man. It's a Kentucky
No
family.
doubt.
You know what I'm saying? Reunion. And definitely hope it all goes well for him. I've experienced a little bit of that with my daughter. She didn't go to school for sports, but, it is her freshman year and she had to stay home.
I didn't understand that.
So, I mean, her working from home and doing the school from home is definitely a different experience. And, just trying to keep them, motivated and inspired that everything's going to be okay, is a big challenge. But hopefully we'll get through this pandemic soon and move on.
Yeah.
But, moving forward, not going to hold you too much longer, bro, but 2 more questions. The L Train, like that was your nickname. I mean, we all had nicknames,
So,
but the L Train is definitely one that stuck out early.
yeah. And it's funny because like you'll do it, obviously Mass, Mass doesn't even know my name is Scott. Like he just if he call it's Train. Like when I was working for Mass at Manhattan, I'm in the practice and he's calling me Train, and the players are looking at me like I'm crazy. No, I mean it's funny. My freshman year, I came in, I was real like everybody at Kentucky really once I started playing saw 6'9", 235, 240 Scott. But when I first got there, I was 6'9", 204. And I could actually really jump when I was in high school, like, and I told them gravity is real because when I threw those extra 30 pounds on, the jumping went down significantly. But like one of the first couple days we were playing pickup, like we're coming down on the break and I'm running down the middle lane and I think it was Anthony like throws it to me and I come down the lane and I dunk on Pope and like Chris Harrison's on the sideline, and he always used to have his little like side commentary and everything. So it started, he's like, okay, Train. And it started as Train. And then I was from Louisville and that's where the L kind of kept played in there. But it just started with one day and pickup and I didn't have a lot of those in my life where I got to dunk on anybody. So earlier in my life, I got to a lot more than later, but that's kind of how it started and it just stuck.
No, I think I now remember now that you're saying it, because you would definitely, hey, if you didn't block you out.
Tip dunk was my thing. more tip dunk than I didn't have the gather explosive jump. That one usually, if it was gather explosive, it was usually you just get fouled, but off the rim on a lob, I could do those.
Right. No, I remember. Hey, you came out of nowhere on a lot of instincts. But man, moving forward, last question. And I heard his side of the story, but I'm gonna get it out of you. We're gonna get this over with. So after practice, 97, I know you know where I'm going. We're in the film room, we're in the meeting room. And something happened with you and Jamal McGlory after practice where y'all were going back and forth about who's better. And y'all stayed after and played one-on-one. We're in the meeting room, cheering y'all on, and then things turn around. What the heck happened? It happened in like seconds.
Well, at the time, we're towards the end of the year because this was going into the SEC tournament. And Jamal's minutes had been going down because coach started playing me and Jared together. Like at the beginning of the year, like I came in for Jared came in for me, and that's basically it. But then when DA went down midway through the season, we kind of had to readjust everything that we were doing. So I started playing with Jared as one of our rotations versus, us playing only really. If you watch film from early in the year, you never saw Jared Prickett and Scott Padgett in the same highlight. If you saw it late in the year, you could see it. But
because you came late, you came later on that year,
and I don't. So Jamal was on one team, and me and Jared were on the other. And I think Kashimu was playing on that team too. So they were subbing like those three guys. It was more like Shimu playing the four, but basically whoever that day had Jamal on them, we were stepping them out and we were, like it was his freshman year, you know what I'm saying? So like we were kind of taking advantage of them and we're talking trash. And we're talking trash, and then the trash in practice led to let's play one-on-one, and we play one-on-one. And so I feel, like I walk off of the court, and I had a pretty good one-on-one game. So like not necessarily in life, but that day. And so I'm laughing in his ear more as we're going off the court. And he had enough of it. He just swung on me, and then it was on. And then like we're rolling around, and there's blood on the floor, and we're slipping in it, and it's funny. No, and it's funny because like we had to go because we had to go get stitches and stuff. We had to go to the emergency room.
Bruised up, man.
And we're in there getting stitches together, and we're joking about it. Like it was one of those things like. You had it several times throughout your career where you get into it with somebody on the team, and it probably looked a lot worse than any other because there was actually blood that came out,
Right.
but it was one of those things, like, it happened, and like 15 minutes later, it was like, we're good. Like,
Absolutely. No, man. Steve, you should have saw Steve
I
Massiano
heard
come
Steve,
flying.
they're fighting, they're fighting.
You walk in blood, Jamal walks in blood. I'm like, what the heck just happened? Somebody was mad about losing. I know that much.
Yeah,
But I've never heard your side of the story to this day.
like,
Until
it's one
right
of those
now.
things. Like, to be honest with you, knowing what I know now, and knowing that, like, it was tough time for him because he wasn't playing as much. Like, I let my competitiveness probably go too far when he was having a rough time because his minutes had been cut down. Like, and he came in obviously with all the expectation in the world because they were saying he's the best guy from Canada ever, and obviously finished with a great career. But his freshman year was, it was up and down. He had a good, probably beginning of the year, middle was okay, and then at the end it started to where he wasn't playing as much because Nas came on. I came to the team, after whatever 8 or 9 games that year, and so there was frustration, and when frustration, and you get somebody in your ear, I probably was the cause. Like, at the end of the day, I was the cause of it because I was talking trash, and
Yeah.
like, but I will say this, like Jam was that dude. That fight me and him had probably had the utmost respect for me, like, the rest of his career. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I think he had some bully to him, like, to where, like, if you back down from him, he would have been in your face the whole, from now on. And like, I think we had a very respectful relationship. And even moving forward up to now, we still, when we talk, it's still funny, like, to us now.
Right. And we were young, competitive, wanted to be the best, you know what I'm
No
saying?
doubt.
And there was competition every day, because obviously, shoot, me and Eve, Ron and Derek, they went at it. So, I
Well,
mean,
hey,
hey, that's what
Twan and
made us
Rod
a great team.
Rhodes, when the year before you got there, Twan and Rod Rhodes went at it like daily, daily. I mean, like, for a year. So it's definitely, I mean, obviously, if you to be at a high level at some point in there, you got some competitive juices in you, to be able to make it to that level. And people probably wouldn't believe that about me, but I like to talk trash a lot. So, I mean, that's what I grew up in, a neighborhood. You talk trash, and so I like to do it. So that was one of the times where trash talking went wrong.
Right, exactly. And coaching, like you mentioned, coaching is something that you've been doing for a very, very long time. And I'm definitely proud of the career you've had. Watch you become a head coach and even an assistant coach, working yourself up the ladder. And we all know how the game goes. And like I told Al, I know y'all will be back in that chair soon. And um, how has New Mexico been? How has that experience been? Just being shoot, in a different part of the country
Well,
right now.
it's been
Alabama to
it's been rough. Like, I'll be honest with you, and not because of, like, the job, like, just for our guys. Like, we have not played one home game this year. We didn't get cleared to practice in the state of New Mexico until about 2 weeks ago. So, like, if we came home, you were shut down. Like, so we came home a couple times for a couple days where you couldn't do anything while you're at home, and then you go back out on the road. But our home games this year have been played at a Division II school, Lubbock Christian, in Lubbock, Texas, right down by Texas Tech. We played some home games at University or Rice University in Houston. We played some home games at Dixie State University in Utah, down in southern Utah, and then we just played our last home games at Air Force last week. So, like, we have not had a home game. Like, all our technical home games have been on the road. We've only played in 2 games where there was been fans allowed in the arena. So it's just been a different season. So, like, we didn't get cleared to even go out onto the road until 10 days before our first game. So we didn't have a team practice until 10 days before the first game. So it's been one of those things where we've been playing catch up all year, and then you're trying to navigate COVID and all those things too. and then you're telling college kids that for a whole year you're going to live in a hotel on the road, like you don't have any life, so it's been, that part of it's been rough. The experience of like getting back and like being an assistant where all I really have to worry about is coaching and basketball for the most part, that part's awesome because, like when you're a head coach, there is a lot of things that get in the way, I think sometimes of the actual coaching, or you can let get in the way. There's things that definitely they don't have to get in the way, but sometimes you let them get in the way. And I think, to be honest with you, the last 15 months, one day will make me a better head coach because when I got my job as a head coach at Sanford the first time, I'd only been a coach for 4 years. Like what I know now compared to then, and things that I would do and change, like it's I wouldn't say it's night and day, but there's a lot of things that you would do just a little differently, and I think those things will make me a better coach someday. And so hopefully sooner rather than later, I get to be a head coach again. But the experience of getting to get back out on the court, heck, I practiced probably 3 weeks this year. We're with the team at 45. so like I wasn't doing that when I was a head coach. I wasn't out there playing with the guys, but I did. I practiced with the guys. I got some film too. I was trying to get a team.
You gotta get that film, bro.
I got some film. The stroke's still nice. I can't now the movement up. I can only play half court. I can only play half court, but
I'm right with you.
Hey,
Sure.
but I can run like I can pass the ball out of the post and give you a hook in the post, and I can shoot the three still. But running up and down.
Right. No, I understand, man. It's not the same no more.
No,
I'm
it
telling
isn't.
you. Hey, it may feel good in the moment, but later on,
Hurts.
later on, you're gonna be like, man, I thought I was in the greatest shape. You can get in
No, I
as
didn't
great
think
a
I was
shape
in
as
great
you want.
shape.
It's still gonna hurt. I don't care what type of shape you're in. It's still gonna
I got
hurt.
up one day and I could I didn't think I could get out of bed. My back hurt so bad.
Nah, bro, man, I'm not gonna hold you too much longer. I definitely appreciate having you on the show, man. It's always good to connect. My guys, man, from the Big Blue, and I mean, it's a brotherhood, man. I'm still beating up Coach Smith about this '98 reunion. He's not gonna get away with that. He's not gonna get away with that. We have to do it. We have to. We did a '96 one. We need a '98 one. But definitely great having you on, man. I wish you all the best of luck this year. I hope things get better. I definitely understand, that COVID being a part. I became a head coach myself, working at Atherton here. And like you just said, we have probably only had like 10 days, maybe 4 or 5 days of practice before we actually started our season, which has started. So, I hope those things change, especially for the kids. And, I just wish your son all the best of luck, on his journey going to Kentucky and playing and becoming a Wildcat, making daddy and mommy proud because they were Wildcats. And yeah, man, we just continue to rock on throughout this year. Those that tuned in, thanks for supporting the Burner Turner Show. Make sure you subscribe to the Field of 68 Media Network group. It's on Instagram. It's on Apple Podcasts. Any way you podcast, keep supporting the Burner Turner Show. Thank you.